Hi, this little video is all about how to be more human on video. And by the way, I'm Michael Trigg, the Presentation Maestro, and what I'd like to achieve in this video is highlight some of the things we don't want and things to avoid, as well as give you some tips and ideas about how to come across more human, so that when you make your videos in the near and medium future, they'll be more effective and more easily received by people. So let's face it, talking about being human on video, it's amazing how busy a little Cotswold village is during lockdown. I've been cars going up and down here, and I've stopped the video so many times I just thought, bugger it, I'm going to carry on. So I hope it doesn't disturb you too much. But let's be honest, most of us do not like being on video, and that's understandable. The reaction I've had from clients over the years when I say that I'm going to video them when we work together, oh no, don't put me on that. But it's really very easy. But there are a few do's and don'ts to avoid, or to be mindful of, and there's some traps to avoid, definitely. So first of all, let's have a look at some of the things we don't want. I wouldn't be too pushy on your videos. Some cultures respond to this better than most, namely across the pond in America. I'm not saying all Americans are pushy, of course I'm not, no way. But they respond on the whole to a harder sell than Europeans do, and particularly the Brits. So avoid being too pushy. And I'd also avoid being too over-earnest and serious. Even though we're going through hard times, I don't think people want that either, to be honest with you. Perhaps one of the biggest things to avoid, though, is ramming too much in there. There's only so much the human mind can take in at any one time, and it's not a lot. However, this vast planet we have between our ears, the conscious brain can only take in, I think, 7 things plus or minus 2 at any one time. So avoid overloading people, giving them too much, which a lot of people do. So now let's look at some of the things you can do to appear more human on video. Well, one of the things is hopefully what I'm practicing and applying right now, is to look at the camera. You should feel my eyes looking directly at you as if you're sitting opposite me, because I'm looking directly into the little black dot on my iPhone. Now, most people don't do this. When they're on video calls or WhatsApp calls, they'll look at the screen rather than the camera, which means that the eyes aren't completely connecting. So that's one thing I'd definitely do. Secondly, have a purpose for each video and state it fairly upfront, so people get a rough idea of what you're going to be covering and why, and to a certain degree what's in it for them. I definitely do that. Thirdly, I would smile a lot. Now, I find this quite challenging. I'm quite a smiley guy normally, but when I look at myself on video, I think, God, you miserable poor po-faced bastard. You have to actually force up the smiles a little bit more than you would in everyday conversation, because there's only a little you appearing on a smartphone screen, and your normal gentle smile often may not carry. So exaggerate the smiles more than you normally would. Another thing I do is to pause a lot more. Now, actually, Boris Johnson's very good at it. He often pauses in the middle of a sentence to make a point, and it's actually incredibly effective because you're not expecting it, and it gives your conscious brain a chance to go, okay, next, and whatever else you may think of him, he's actually a damn good communicator and a very good speaker. So I would pause more. We need time to digest what you're saying. Let's see if I missed anything out here. Yeah. Use variety. What do I mean by that? As in, vary your intonation a little bit more than you would in everyday speak. Because one of the things I notice happening a lot with people on videos is not only they talk too fast and put too much stuff in there, the voice is often quite monotonous as well as they do it. So have your camera at eye height, which will bring your chin up, and that will help you vary your intonation. But it'll also have the intent to vary your intonation too. That's most important, because otherwise it just becomes a monotone and frightfully dull, and we all go Also vary your pace as well, your speed. By all means, go a bit faster when you're getting excited, but at other times, slow right down so they get the message. Now, what's human about all this? Well, this is the sort of behavior we show. This is how we communicate when we're talking to our friends or our family or telling a joke in the pub in the days we used to go to a pub. It's not all at the same pace without any pausing in it at all. It's natural. So everything you do on video really should be natural, plus a couple of clicks. You smile a bit more than you would normally. You pause a little bit more than you would normally. And you have a little bit more variety than you would normally. And I also mentioned pausing several times again, but I want to ram it through again because it's one of the things that people do not do. And I think there's one last thing. There is. One aspect of appearing human is to use language that everyone can understand. Now, if you've followed any of my videos on YouTube or LinkedIn, you'll realize that jargon is something of a bête noire of mine. And I don't dislike it per se, but it just gets in the way of clear communication. And something weird happens to a lot of us. We're quite normal at home or with our friends, but as soon as we go into work, on goes this hat with the word professional written across the top. And we start talking bollocks that we'd never talk with our family or friends. So strip out all business speak if you can. I mean, some phrases I'm picking up of late, they're not so businessy, but a lot of journalists talk about playing into the narrative or agency. Somebody or something has agency. I mean, what the hell does that mean? Do you use that when you talk to your mother or to your colleagues or to your friends in particular? Hope not. So the more down-to-earth language you use, the more human you appear, and the less sort of hiding there is behind technical jargon, business speak, and jargon in general. And I can't tell you what a difference that makes. So rather than summarize all those points again, I want to keep this a brief video. You can play back over it again. Stay safe, look after your loved ones and yourself, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.